I used to think that napkin stories were just that, stories from the imagination of journalists. That is until I met Richard Tate, the founder of Cranium. I prepared him for an interview on CNBC. He told me that during a cross-country flight from New York to Seattle, he took out a small cocktail napkin and sketched the idea of a board game in which everyone had a chance to excel in at least one category, a game that would give everyone a chance to shine. Cranium became a worldwide sensation and was later purchased by Hasbro. The original concept was simple enough to write on a tiny airline napkin. One of the most famous corporate napkin stories involves Southwest Airlines. A lawyer at the time, Herb Kelleher, met with one of his clients, Roland King, at the St. Anthony's Club, in San Antonio. King owned a small charter airline. He wanted to start a low-cost commuter airline that avoided the major hubs and instead served Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. King sketched 3 circles, wrote the names of the cities inside, and connected the 3, a strikingly simple vision. Kelleher understood immediately. Kelleher signed on as legal counsel. He later became CEO, and the 2 men founded Southwest Airlines in 1967. King and Kelleher would go on to reinvent airline travel in the United States and build a corporate culture that would earn Southwest's place among the most admired companies in the world. Never underestimate the power of a vision so simple that it can fit on a napkin. The story takes center stage and beyond bullet points. Cliff Atkinson stresses, the single most important thing you can do to dramatically improve your presentations is to have a story to tell before you work on your PowerPoint file. Cubed Atkinson advocates a 3-step storyboard approach to creating presentations: writing, right pointing arrow, sketching, right pointing arrow, producing only after writing, scripting. The scenes. Does he advocate thinking visually about how the slides will look? To write a script, you need to momentarily set aside PowerPoint design issues like fonts, colors, backgrounds, and slide transitions. Although it might sound counterintuitive, when you write a script first, you actually expand your visual possibilities, because writing defines your purpose before you start designing. A script unlocks the undiscovered power of PowerPoint as a visual storytelling tool in ways that might surprise and delight you and your audiences. To the power of 4, with a completed script in hand, you'll be ready to sketch and produce the experience. The script, however, must come first. 9 elements of great presentations. Persuasive presentation scripts contain 9 common elements. Think about incorporating each of these components before you open the presentation program, whether you work in PowerPoint, Keynote, or any other design software. Some of these concepts will be explored in more detail later, but for now keep them in mind as you develop your ideas. Headline: what is the one big idea you want to leave with your audience? It should be short, 140 characters or less, memorable, and written in the subject-verb-object sequence. When Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, he exclaimed, "Today Apple reinvents the phone. To the power of 5." That's a headline. Headlines grab the attention of your audience and give people a reason to listen. Read USA Today for ideas. Here are some examples from America's most popular daily newspaper. Apple's skinny MacBook is fat with features. Apple unleashes Leopard operating system. Apple shrinks iPod. Passion statement: Aristotle, the father of public speaking, believed that successful speakers must have pathos, or passion for their subject. Very few communicators express a sense of excitement about their topic. Steve Jobs exudes an almost giddy enthusiasm every time he presents. Former employees and even some journalists have claimed that they found his energy and enthusiasm completely mesmerizing. Spend a few minutes developing a passion statement by filling in the following sentence: I'm excited about this product, company, initiative, feature, etc., because it. Once you have identified the passion statement, don't be bashful, share it. 3 key messages. Know that you have decided on your headline and passion statement. Write out the 3 messages you want your audience to receive. They should be easily recalled without the necessity of looking at notes. Although Scene 5 is dedicated to this subject, For now, keep in mind that your listeners can recall only 3 or 4 points in short-term memory. Each of the key messages will be followed by supporting points. Metaphors and analogies. You develop key messages and supporting points. Decide on which rhetorical devices will make your narrative more engaging. According to Aristotle, metaphor is the most important thing by far. A metaphor, a word or phrase that denotes one thing and is used to designate another for purposes of comparison, is a persuasive tool in the best marketing, advertising, and public relations campaigns. Jobs uses metaphors in conversations and presentations. In one famous interview, Jobs said, "What a computer is to me is the most remarkable tool that we have ever come up with. It's the equivalent of a bicycle for our minds." To the power of 6, sales professionals are fond of sports metaphors. We're all playing for the same team. This isn't a scrimmage. It's for real. Or, we're batting 1,000. Let's keep it up. While sports metaphors work fine, challenge yourself to break away from what your audience expects. I came across an interesting metaphor for a new antivirus suite of applications from Kaspersky. The company ran full-page ads. The one I saw was in USA Today, that showed a dejected medieval soldier in a full suit of armor walking away, with his back toward the reader. The headline read, "Don't be so sad. You were very good once upon a time." The metaphor compared today's internet security technologies, Kaspersky's competitors, to slow, cumbersome medieval armor, which of course is no match for today's military technology. The company extended the metaphor to the website with an image of a suit of armor and the same tagline. The metaphor was consistent throughout the company's marketing material. Analogies are close cousins of metaphors and also are very effective. An analogy is a comparison between two different things in order to highlight some area of similarity. Analogies help us understand concepts that might be foreign to us. The microprocessor is the brain of your computer, is an analogy that works well for companies such as Intel. In many ways, the chip serves the same function in the computer as a brain serves in a human. The chip and the brain are two different things with like features. This particular analogy is so useful that it is widely picked up by the media. When you find a strong analogy that works, stick with it and make it consistent across your presentations, website, and marketing material. Jobs likes to have fun with analogies, especially if they can be applied to Microsoft. During an interview with the Wall Street Journal's Walt Mossberg, Jobs pointed out that many people say iTunes is their favorite application for Windows. It's like giving a glass of ice water to someone in hell. To the power of 7 demonstrations, Jobs shares the spotlight with employees, partners, and products. Demos make up a large part of his presentations. When Jobs unveiled a new version of the OS X operating system, code-named Leopard, at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, commonly abbreviated WWDC, the annual conference is an Apple event to showcase new software and technologies. In June 2007, he said Leopard had 300 new features. He chose 10 to discuss and demonstrate, including Time Machine, Automated Backup, Boot Camp, runs Windows XP and Vista on Mac, and Stacks file organization. Instead of simply listing the features on a slide and explaining them, he sat down and showed the audience how they worked. He also chose the features he wanted the press to highlight. Why leave it to the media to decide which of 300 new features were the most compelling? He would tell them, "Does your product lend itself to a demonstration? If so, script it into the presentation. Your audience wants to see, touch, and experience your product or service. Bring it to life." I worked with Goldman Sachs investors to prepare the CEO of a Silicon Valley semiconductor startup that was about to go public. The company shrinks chips that create audio sound for mobile computers. As we were planning the investor presentation, the CEO pulled out a chip the size of a fingernail and said, "You wouldn't believe the sound that this generates." Listen to this. He turned up the volume on his laptop and played music that impressed those of us who were in the room. It was a no-brainer to use the same demonstration, with a more dramatic build-up, when the executive pitched the company to investors. The IPO went on to become a huge success. An investor who had underwritten the company later called me and said, "I don't know what you did, but the CEO was a hit." I didn't have the heart to say that I stole the idea from the Steve Jobs playbook. Partners Jobs shares the stage with key partners as well as his products. In September 2005, Jobs announced that all of Madonna's albums would be available on iTunes. The pop star herself suddenly appeared via webcam and joked with Jobs that she had tried to hold out as long as possible but got tired of not being able to download her own songs. Whether it's an artist or an industry partner like the CEOs of Intel, Fox, or Sony, Jobs often shares the stage with people who contribute to Apple's success. Customer evidence and third-party endorsements. Offering customer evidence, or testimonials, is an important part of the selling cycle. Few customers want to be pioneers, especially when budgets are tight. Just as recruiters ask for references, your customers want to hear success stories. This is especially critical for small companies. Your sales and marketing collateral might look great in that glossy 4-color brochure, but it will be met with a healthy degree of skepticism. The number one influencer is word of mouth. Successful product launches usually have several customers who were involved in the beta and who can vouch for the product. Incorporate customer evidence into your pitch. Including a quote is simple enough, but try going one step further by recording a short testimonial and embedding the video on your site and in your presentation. Even better, invite a customer to join you in person or via webcam at a presentation or an important sales meeting. Do you have third-party reviews of your product? Always use third-party endorsements when available. Word of mouth is one of the most effective marketing tools available, and when your customers see an endorsement from a publication or an individual they respect, it will make them feel more comfortable about their purchasing decisions. Very few presenters incorporate video into their presentations. Jobs plays video clips very often. Sometimes he shows video of employees talking about how much they enjoyed working on a product. Jobs is also fond of showing Apple's most recent television ads. He does so in nearly every major new product announcement and has been doing so since the launch of the famous Macintosh 1984 Super Bowl ad. He's been known to enjoy some ads so much that he showed them twice. Near the end of his presentation at Apple's WWDC in June 2008, Jobs announced the new iPhone 3G, which connects to higher-speed data networks and costs less than the iPhone that was currently on the market. He showed a television ad with the tagline, "It's finally here." The first phone to beat the iPhone. When the 30-second spot ended, a beaming Jobs said, "Isn't that nice? Want to see it again? Let's roll that again. I love this ad." To the power of 8, including video clips in your presentation will help you stand out. You can show ads, employee testimonials, scenes of the product or of people using the product, and even customer endorsements. What could be more persuasive than hearing directly from a satisfied customer, if not in person, then through a short video clip embedded in your presentation? You can easily encode video into digital formats such as MPEG-1, Windows Media, or QuickTime files, all of which will work for most presentations. Keep in mind that the average viewed clip on YouTube is 2.5 minutes. Our attention spans are shrinking, and video, while providing a great way to keep the audience engaged, can be overused if left to run too long. Use video clips in your presentations, but avoid clips that run much longer than 2 to 3 minutes. Video is a terrific tool for even the most non-technical of presentations. I was helping the California Strawberry Commission prepare for a series of presentations set to take place on the East Coast. Commission members showed me a short video of strawberry growers expressing their love of the land and the fruit. The images of strawberry fields were gorgeous, and I suggested they create a digital file of the video clip and embed it in the presentation. In the presentation itself, they introduced the video by saying something like this: "We realized that you probably have never visited a California strawberry field, so we decided to bring the farmers to you." The video clip was the most memorable part of the presentation, and the East Coast editors loved it. Flip charts, props, and show and tell. There are three types of learners. Visual, the majority of people fall into this category. Auditory, listeners, and kinesthetic, people who like to feel and touch. Find ways to appeal to everyone. A presentation should comprise more than just slides. Use whiteboards, flip charts, or the high-tech flip chart, a tablet PC. Bring props, such as physical products for people to see, use, and touch. In Scene 12, you'll learn much more about reaching the three types of learners. Most communicators get so caught up in the slides. Which font should I use? Should I use bullets or dashes? Should I include a graph here? How about a picture there? These are the wrong questions to be asking in the planning stage. If you have a tangible product, find other ways outside of the slide deck to show it off. On October 14, 2008, Steve introduced a new line of MacBooks carved out of one piece of aluminum, a unibody enclosure. After Jobs discussed the manufacturing process, Apple employees handed out examples of the new frame so audience members could see it and touch it for themselves. Incorporating all of these elements in a presentation will help you tell a story worth listening to. Slides don't tell stories, you do. Slides complement the story. This book is software agnostic. It avoids a direct comparison between PowerPoint and Keynote because the software is not the main character in an effective presentation. Speaker is. Jobs himself started using Apple's Keynote software in 2002, so what are we to make of the extraordinary presentations Jobs gave dating back to 1984? The software is not the answer. The fact that Steve Jobs uses Keynote instead of PowerPoint does not mean your presentation will look more like his if you make the switch. You will, however, win over your audience by spending more time creating the plot than producing the slides. Use a notepad or whiteboard to script your ideas. It will help you visualize the story and simplify its components. When Jobs returned to Apple in 1996, taking over for ousted Gil Amelio, he found a company with more than 40 different products, which confused the customer. In a bold move, he radically simplified the product pipeline. In Inside Steve's Brain, Leander Connie writes that Jobs called senior management into his office. Jobs drew a very simple 2x2 grid on the whiteboard. Across the top he wrote, "Consumer," and "Professional," and down the side, "Portable," and "Desktop." To the power of 9 under Jobs, Apple would offer just 4 computers, 2 notebooks and 2 desktops, aimed at consumer and professional users. This is one of many stories in which we learn that Jobs does his best thinking when he's thinking visually. Whether you plan best on a whiteboard, a yellow legal pad, or post-it notes, spend time in analog before jumping to digital. Your ultimate presentation will be far more interesting, engaging, and relevant. Aristotle's outline for persuasive arguments. A Steve Jobs presentation follows Aristotle's classic 5-point plan to create a persuasive argument.
Deliver a story or statement that arouses the audience's interest. 2. Pose a problem or question that has to be solved or answered. 3. Offer a solution to the problem you raised. 4. Describe specific benefits for adopting the course of action set forth in your solution. 5. State a call to action. For Steve, it's as simple as saying, "Now go out and buy one."
Director's notes: start planning before you open the presentation software. Sketch ideas on paper or whiteboards. Incorporate some, if not all, of the following 9 elements to make your presentation come alive. Headline: passion statement, 3 key messages, analogies, demonstrations, partner showcase, customer evidence, video clips, and props. Speaking like Jobs has little to do with the type of presentation software you use, PowerPoint, Keynote, etc., and everything to do with how you craft and deliver the story. Answer the one question that matters most. You've got to start with the customer experience and work back toward the technology, not the other way around. Steve Jobs, May 25, 1997, Worldwide Developers Conference. In May 1998, Apple launched a splashy new product aimed at shoring up its dwindling share of the computer market, which had sunk to under 4%. When Jobs unveiled the new translucent iMac, he described the reason for building the computer, the target market, and the benefit customers would see from buying the new system. Even though this is a full-blown Macintosh, we are targeting this for the number one use consumers tell us they want a computer for, which is to get on the internet simply and fast. We're also targeting this for education. They want to buy these. It's perfect for most of the things they do in instruction. We went out and looked at all of the consumer products out there. We noticed some things about them pretty much universally. The first is they are very slow. They are all using last year's processor. Secondly, they all have pretty crummy displays on them. Likely no networking on them. Old generation I/O devices, and what that means is they are lower performance and harder to use. And these things are oogly. So, let me tell you about iMac. After describing the weaknesses of current products in the preceding excerpt, Jobs drew a verbal roadmap for his audience, listing the features he would explain in more detail. Learn more about drawing a roadmap in Scene 5. The audience learned that the new iMac was fast, it screens, and that it had a gorgeous 15-inch display, a large amount of built-in memory, and components that would make accessing a network easier for students and home users. In one of his typical surprise moments, Jobs then walked to the center of the stage and pulled the cover off the new computer. Your audience wants to be informed, educated, and entertained. Informed about your product, educated on how it works, and entertained while learning about it. Above all, people want to know the answer to one question: why should I care? Let's take a closer look at that iMac excerpt. Jobs told the audience, what that means is, ... Jobs connects the dots for his listeners. Although he might leave the industry in the dark about future Apple releases, he never leaves his audience guessing when the product is finally introduced. Why should you care about Apple's new computer, MP3 player, phone, or gadget? Don't worry, Jobs will tell you. The rumors are true. For years, Apple had a rivalry with Intel, even setting fire to an Intel Bunny Man in a 1996 TV spot. One decade later, Apple put its rivalry to rest and announced that Intel processors would power its new Macintosh systems, replacing IBM's PowerPC chips. On June 6, 2005, Jobs announced the Switch at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference in San Francisco. Rumors of the Switch had been floating around for months, and many observers expressed concern about the transition. Reporters for eWeek magazine found it difficult to believe Apple would swap the PowerPC for Intel, since the PowerPC had worked well for the brand. Developers were grumbling. Jobs had to convince the audience that the Switch was the right thing to do. His presentation was enormously persuasive in changing people's opinions because, using plain and direct language, he answered the one question that mattered most: why should Apple's customers and developers care? Yes, it's true. We are going to begin the transition from PowerPC to Intel processors. Now, why are we going to do this? Didn't we just get through going from OS 9 to OS X? Isn't the business great right now? Because we want to make the best computers for our customers looking forward. Now, I stood up here 2 years ago and promised you this slideshow's desktop computer with 3 GHz, and we haven't been able to deliver it to you. I think a lot of you would like a G5 in your PowerBook, and we haven't been able to deliver it. But these aren't even the most important reasons. As we look ahead, though we have some great products now, we can envision some amazing products we want to build for you, and we don't know how to build them with the future PowerPC roadmap. That's why we're going to do this. Squared Jobs articulated the argument so convincingly that few people in the audience that day left without a high degree of confidence that the transition had been the right thing for Apple, its developers, and its customers. Why should I care? During the planning phase of your presentation, always remember that it's not about you. It's about them. The listeners in your audience are asking themselves one question: why should I care? Answering that one question right out of the gate will grab people's attention and keep them engaged. I was preparing a CEO for a major analyst presentation and asked how he planned to kick it off. He offered this dry, boring, and confusing introduction. Our company is a premier developer of intelligent semiconductor intellectual property solutions that dramatically accelerate complex system-on-a-chip designs while minimizing risk. I was dumbfounded and suggested he take a page from the Steve Jobs playbook, eliminating all of the buzzwords such as intelligent and solutions and simply answering one question. Why should your customers care about your product? Channel your best Steve Jobs impression. In the summer of 2006, Intel released a processor branded Core 2 Duo. The Duo stood for dual core, meaning there were 2 cores, or brains, on each microprocessor. That may not sound exciting, but if you answer the one question that matters, why should I care? It becomes very interesting. Take 2 scenarios. In both scenarios, a customer walks into a computer store and asks the salesperson for information about notebook computers. The sales professional in the first scenario has not read this book and fails to answer the one question that matters. The salesperson in the second scenario is more likely to win the sale, by virtue of channeling his or her inner Steve Jobs and answering the one question on the mind of the customer: why should I care? Scenario 1. Customer: hi, I'm looking for a notebook computer that is light and fast and includes a DVD. Salesperson: you should look for an Intel Core 2 Duo. Customer: okay, I didn't know Intel makes computers. Salesperson: they don't. Customer: can you tell me more? Salesperson: an Intel dual-core processor has 2 performance engines that simultaneously process data at a faster rate. Customer: oh. Maybe I should look somewhere else. Of course, the customer in this scenario will look somewhere else. Although the salesperson was technically accurate, the customer had to work far too hard to figure out how the new system would make the person's life better. It took too much brainpower, and as you'll learn, the brain is a lazy piece of meat that tries to preserve energy. Make the brain work too hard, and you'll lose your audience. The customer had one question in mind and one question only. The salesperson failed to answer it and seemed indifferent, even arrogant. Let's try it again. This time, the salesperson will do a stellar Steve Jobs impression. Scenario 2. Salesperson: hi, can I help you find something? Customer: sure, I'm looking for a notebook computer. One that is light and fast and includes a DVD. Salesperson: you've come to the right place. We have a huge selection of small notebooks that are blazingly fast. Have you considered a system with an Intel Core 2 Duo? Customer: not really. What's that? Salesperson: think of the microprocessor as the brain of your computer. Now, with these Intel chips, you get 2 brains in one computer. What that means to you is that you can do a lot of fun and productive stuff at the same time. For example, You can download music while your computer is running a full virus scan in the background, and it won't slow down the system at all. Your productivity applications will load much faster. You can work on multiple documents at the same time. Your DVDs will play much better, and you get much longer battery life on top of it. And that's not all. The displays are gorgeous. Customer: great. Please show me those computers. In this scenario, the salesperson spoke in plain English, used tangible examples to make the product relevant, and answered the only question that really mattered to the customer: why should I care about the processor? Retailers who train their sales staffs to describe products in this way will stand out from the competition. Come to think of it, there is a retailer that does exactly that: Apple. Walk into most any Apple store, and you will be greeted by enthusiastic men and women who are eager to explain how Apple products will make your life better.